After overcoming really debilitating, soul-crushing anxiety that I've dealt with for around 5 years, it has become my life mission to help as many of you possible to get out of this cycle faster and, most importantly, as soon as possible. And this video is going to be pretty much the foundation for all of you out there embarking on the recovery journey. And before we start, I also want to tell you that if I can fully recover from anxiety, then I am fully convinced that you can too. So don't let anyone tell you that anxiety is forever, that you only can manage anxiety or learn to cope with it. That's bogus. Don't believe in that kind of thing. But there are a few things that you need to understand and need to wrap your head around to even get the anxiety ball rolling. So look at all the comments here that were on my recent videos. Do you see what they all have in common? Can you recognize what's going on here? And to make it clear, I'm not bashing anyone, and I'm not even saying they're doing something wrong per se, because I was one of them. I was exactly the same. But still, I would say that something like 90% of the comments here on my channel are physical anxiety symptom related. They are from people who are looking for reassurance from others and from me and want to know that anxiety can create the symptom or that others have experienced the exact same thing. And that is exactly what I provide here on the channel. I talk plenty about my experiences and describe in detail of what I went through, what I experienced during my 5-long-year battle with anxiety. And I truly believe that finding someone that you can relate to will increase the probability and speed of recovery drastically. Because without finding the information or finding that person that you can really relate to, it can feel like you're all by yourself, that everything other people are experiencing is completely different or way less severe than what you are experiencing. At least that was how I felt it back in my days. But it's important to not forget that finding reassurance and getting that immediate feedback is not anxiety recovery in itself. It's simply not enough. Because just imagine a world where I would have unlimited time and I would describe in detail exactly 100% the same symptoms that you experienced. There is no difference. Everything was exactly the same. So after reading that comment or watching that video, you will probably sigh in relief like, oh my God, thank God I found you. Thank God there is somebody out there who experienced exactly the same thing. It feels like a gigantic weight falling off from your back. And if you're like me, maybe you will even cry from relief, cry from joy and happiness, because you believe that now you can somehow accept anxiety, recover from anxiety. Now you can practice everything that you need to. And that is because you think that that one symptom was just too bothering, was too unlike what you have read or watched anybody talk about on YouTube or in any kind of forum. And without knowing exactly that this could have been anxiety, there was no way you could have moved on from this. Can you somehow relate to that? At least that was always in my mind. And finding these moments, they are great. They feel good. They get you motivated. And I want to be the guy that gets you motivated, gives you the mental strength to carry on and to move on. That's what the entire channel is there for. That's what I am there for. But please, please don't forget that the physical symptoms you're experiencing are not your anxiety or are not alone your anxiety. It can feel like that it is this physical symptoms in itself that are the reason for your anxiety, that are feeding your anxiety, making it worse. And to an extent, it is true. There's no denying that. But think about it. There is a reason why you can reassure yourself out of anxiety and out of the anxiety loop. There is a reason why so many of us with health anxiety follow a very similar path. There is a reason why many of us start with immediate life changes, immediate dangers like heart attacks or strokes, and then slowly and progressively move on to more subtle, more longer-term diseases or worries like neurological diseases, cancers, or even virus infections and attacks. There's a reason why your symptoms change, why you hop from one main fear to another. And that reason is actually pretty obvious, but we forget about it or choose to neglect that fact. And we all know it deep down, but we have to remind ourselves of that fact over and over again. Anxiety, we all heard of the term before it all started. We maybe didn't know much about it, but we all knew it was a mental state of fear, dread, and tension. All the physical symptoms that anxiety can bring on and that were in the comments before, that we maybe didn't know, that we didn't expect. or we didn't read somewhere or learn about. And because of that, anxiety presented itself in a way we didn't expect. We didn't know what was happening to us. And so the symptoms pulled us deep into some kind of rabbit hole where the symptoms, the physical symptoms, are all that matters, are all that we care about, and that we desperately need to fix or learn about, and eventually maybe even start to accept, or at least practice accepting them. But guys, anxiety is a physical and mental state. So even if I could somehow magically snap my finger and make your symptom go away, your main worry go away, the anxiety will always find a way to find something it can latch itself onto, make you scared again, or make your fear somehow make sense. So after months of dealing with heart-related anxiety symptoms, for example, you might have gotten used to them, or maybe now you can accept that they are probably anxiety, or can come to the conclusion that maybe you will not die within the next 5 seconds. But inside, you still feel that lingering fear, you still feel like you're losing control, that there might be something else around the corner waiting for you. You simply still feel very unsafe. You didn't deal with that side of the coin yet. Anxiety actually made you convinced that that side of the coin is not that important, that you have other things to do now, other more worrisome thoughts or convictions to take care of for now. The anxiety part is always an afterthought, something that you can take care of after you figured out everything else. And that is the reason why I believe so many of you out there have a very hard time accepting anxiety, practicing exposure, and trying to conquer bits of your life back. Because what are you trying to accept? What are you trying to expose yourself to? If you're anything like me, then you're trying to eagerly accept the physical side, the physical symptoms of anxiety. And by accepting, I actually mean you try to magically convince yourself that this is anxiety. Because you're still convinced that the physical symptoms are the reason why you're anxious, are the reason why you're so scared all the time. But in fact, you are actually stuck in an anxiety loop. I know you've heard the term before. Your anxious brain creates symptoms or finds symptoms. And that in itself fuels more anxiety. Then you get more aware of the physical symptoms and more scared of the physical symptoms. And again, you get more anxious and your body gets more tense and you present more symptoms and you get more anxious, and on and on and on it goes. So now you're probably asking yourself, so then what do you accept? How do you break free from anxiety? How do you break free from all of this mess? And my honest answer is going to get plenty of hate. I know that already. Because it's not an immediate fix. It's a mental shift that you have to have. You have to give up the need to have this all figured out right now. You have to give up the search to answer all the questions that anxiety puts into your head. All the what-if questions are the anxiety in itself. Living with these questions in your head is what you have to accept, is what you have to get kind of used to. You have to be prepared and know that you will feel scared when you go out there and conquer bits of your life back. Just very gradually, bit by bit, you increase the intensity and your exposure to your life again. You will be scared and you will feel symptoms, of course, 100%. But remind yourself again that this is what anxiety is about. Anxiety is there to make you feel unsafe, because your body and mind feel unsafe. It's not the symptoms making you feel unsafe. It's anxiety itself convincing you that you are in danger. Does that make sense? So you will or will not know that this is all anxiety, that you are safe. But that is the leap of faith that you will eventually have to take to break free from anxiety. You cannot prepare yourself to break free from anxiety. That uncertainty you have to step into is the anxiety recovery, is the fundamental step that you need to take. And you do these things consciously and with intention because you want to learn from those experiences. You want to become braver over time and get the confidence that you can handle these situations. You don't want anxiety to dictate the way you live. Eventually, you want to grow over the anxiety. And I'm not going to lie here. This whole process will probably take a few months. But eventually, you will kind of wake up one day and realize how far you've actually come. And that is because the whole process is so gradual, and you also gradually cared less and less about the symptoms and the way anxiety made you feel. I know many of you cannot even believe or imagine this fact, but eventually I got so immune to the way I felt or what symptoms my body was producing, I could just simply move on and carry on with my life without even paying close attention to what was happening or putting in a lot of effort. It was like I practiced not caring at all. And eventually I got so good at it that it was just second nature. And this whole process was possible because you reminded yourself that anxiety presents itself physically and mentally. And you've just forgotten it along the way. You've forgotten it because the symptoms were screaming in your face. So the next time you feel feel a wave of fear hitting you, understand that this is exactly what anxiety should feel like. This is exactly what anxiety feels like. It's not the symptom in itself that is making you feel this way. It is anxiety making you feel this way. And that is what you will overcome. And you know why? Because you are safe. You just don't know and feel it yet. But you will get there. Trust me.